Hey, how's it going? Drew here with Influence Trainer, and coming from the brand new office. My wife is just on the other side of the camera over there working, and we got our setup working for us now. Not quite completely dialed in, but I wanted to make sure I created some content for you here today. And I've got a leadership tip for greater influence for you today. And where this comes from is yesterday I was having a conversation. Hey, how's it going? Drew here with Influence Trainer, and coming from the brand new office. My wife is just on the other. Oops, that's feedback from it going live on YouTube there. All right, where this video is coming from is yesterday I was having a conversation with a potential client, and like many times, those sales conversations turn into coaching sessions for me. Since I coach, that's really the best way. It's kind of like Costco, try before you buy, right? So people share things with me. We begin to have a coaching session, and we were just talking about leadership and some challenges and some opportunities that this particular leader had in front of him. And I shared one of the tips that I'm telling you, this is when you can simplify leadership or a certain action or lack of action in leadership and leading people into one of two things, it makes life so much easier. And for this one today, the leadership tip that I'm going to share with you, the reason why it increases your influence is that if you master this conversation, I'm going to share with you right now, I'm going to share a conversation I've had many times, I've taught many times to private clients and to groups of leaders. And if you master this technique, this conversation, then you will look more competent, you'll look more credible, you will appear more credible, and you'll be more relational in your approach to your people. So it's a win all the way around. And what I'm talking about today and the issue or the challenge that arises in life, in business, with children. My wife and I, we got 5 kids together. So this happens in leading our family, leading our home. And it's a lack of execution, right? It's a lack of execution. How many times have you had a person on your team, they didn't get a job done. They didn't get a job done on time, or they didn't get it done to the standards that you've asked of them. Maybe you've already had a conversation with them, and this is turning into more of a habitual thing. When that happens, I like to have this conversation because the reason why they're failing to execute, the reason why anyone ever fails to execute, myself included, you watching, it's across the board, it's this simple. The reason why people fail to execute is they are either unwilling or unable. They're either unwilling to do the task, meaning they're saying on the inside, I don't want to do that, right? I'm not willing to do that. I don't want to do that. Or they're unable. They are physically unable. They're mentally unable. They don't have the capacity to do it at this time. They don't have the competencies to do the task. Whatever the case is, you're either unwilling or unable. That's it. It's so simple when you break it down. Now, real quick, I'd love for you to write in the comments. Let me know on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself at holding people accountable? And people tend to fall on one spectrum or the other. They're either really good to the point of they can come across as a jerk. Maybe they're more natural in holding people accountable and they're just blunt and to the point. And others are more passive in their approach. And it's hard to hold people accountable, and they're challenged by holding people accountable, and they want people to have fun in the workplace. And usually people land on either side of that spectrum naturally. But we can learn, right? We can either learn to be more relational in our approach, soften our approach, or we can learn to just be a little more, have a little more candor in our approach and be more upfront, knowing that ultimately in the end, if we help a person through a challenge of lack of execution, we're helping them in the end to be a better employee, team member with my kids, be a better adult one day. And so, okay, so the reason why people don't execute is because they're unwilling or unable. So let me tell you exactly what I told this leader, and I've told countless leaders in the past. This is how the conversation goes. So you sit down with your team member, and let's say that there was a project and they had to get the financial statements to you by Friday, 5 o'clock on Friday, so that you could review them and you could be prepped for a meeting on Monday. They fail to execute. They don't get it done. You might get a flurry of emails. It might say, I'm not there. Things came up. Excuses will come. It's fine. Yeah, excuses come. That's all part of it. You don't even have to worry about the excuses, okay? You sit down with them and you talk to them on Monday. Now, outside of, hey, I got sick, I had to go to the hospital, whatever, death in the family type thing. I'm talking like just normal, everyday excuses like, hey, I got bombarded. Hey, I got blindsided by this workload, or hey, I didn't realize I had to do this, or whatever. Those kind of just general excuses. You sit them down on Monday and say, hey, want a conversation about our project this weekend. Yeah, I know. I got it to you on Sunday night. I'm sorry, but hey, I got it to you before the meeting, right? And you can respond, hey, that's one way of looking at it. But I really needed it beforehand so that I had Saturday set aside so I could look over the information that you're providing me and be prepped for Monday. Instead, I had to cram. But that's not what I want to talk about here today. I want to ask you a question about Friday and that deadline. We agreed to it. We talked about it, and you knew the deadline. You knew what was going on, and I've got to know. I've got to find out. Whenever things like this happen, whenever projects don't get done. And tasks are not completed in a satisfactory time. And see, I'm kind of slowing down my cadence too, right? Because I don't want it to seem scripted. I don't want to plow through it. I want to find my words. Sometimes when you are feeling it out and finding your words in the conversation, it's more genuine, right? There's more empathy to it when we just kind of slow down and have a conversation. And so how I do it is I say, I've really found in leadership and working with teams and team members that there's really only, one of two reasons why people fail to execute on a task, which is what happened here. And they were either unwilling to do it or unable. And so I just want to ask you that question. I don't want to make any assumptions about your motives or anything like that, but I got to know, are you unwilling to get the task in when I ask you to get it in, or are you unable? Is there an area where I need to help you or come alongside you? Can you just shed some light on that or clarify that for me, please? I would appreciate it. And then you just shut up, right? You don't speak and you let them share their response. Now, they're going to give you one of two responses. I was unwilling or I was unable. Now, if they say they're unwilling, then you have an attitude problem. Okay, you've got a problem. The person, maybe they're fresh, maybe they thought they should have your job, right? And they don't want to do what you say, and they're just kind of throwing a fit. Or maybe they're prideful, and they don't ever want to say they're unable to do anything, so they're going to say they're unwilling. Either way, they've got a bad attitude, and you need to address it properly, whatever that is in your organization. If that's a write-up, if that's a conversation, I would ask them, hey, at that point, if they said I'm unwilling, I don't want to get the job done, I don't want to do it. If they said that to me, I would ask them, is there a problem? Is there something I said or something I did, or do you not enjoy working for me, or what's going on here? Help me understand. and let them talk and share. The other one is way better. So if they say I was unable to because I really didn't know how to, and I clammed up, I got nervous, I got scared, I didn't want to tell you I didn't know how to do it, and then the deadline came, and I was all weekend doing Google searches trying to figure out how to do it. I didn't know how to do it. Or maybe they kind of half do the project and turn in a partial set of numbers to you, and they go, I just didn't know how to do it. So that's something that's easy and we can easily fix, and we can go back and we say okay, let's look at this, let's take some time, let's figure this out. And whenever you can reassure them, hey, whenever this happens, whenever something like that happens, I want you to reach out to me, I want you to ask me, I want you to lean on your fellow team members and figure this thing out. We're here to help you, and you should never feel stuck like you can't ask for help, right? That's super easy. You can clean up that conversation real easy. But the fantastic thing about it is it really cuts off the excuses, and it shuts down all the arguments to getting right to the bottom of what the problem is. You're either unwilling or you're unable to do it. And if you can master that conversation, practice that conversation a couple of times, have it with your kids, right? For practice, if you got any kids out there. But practice that conversation, get comfortable with that conversation. I'm telling you, it will expedite your leadership conversations. Accountability is a big deal. And holding your team accountable is something that you as a leader have to do. You can either, John Maxwell once told his right-hand man, Mark Cole, he said, you can either be the leader or you can be loved. But you can't pursue and have your priority to be being loved and still be the leader. You can be the leader and be loved, but you can't focus on being loved first and then secondly being a leader. You have to hold your team accountable, and sometimes that's not fun, and sometimes people aren't happy with you. But that's why leadership isn't for everybody. Now, how does this increase your influence? Well, influential people are competent people. If you can talk to your leadership team, you can say, there's really only 2 reasons. You don't have to give me credit. You have to say, you heard it from a YouTube channel. You just say, hey, I found in my leadership experience that there are 2 reasons why people do not execute. They're unwilling or they're unable. Bam, you are going to look more competent in the eyes of your people. You're going to be more relational because you're not making assumptions, right? The alternative to doing this is you make assumptions in your head. They don't like me. They don't want to work for me. They don't want to get this done for me. And we tend to go that way, right? The personal side, when in reality, it wasn't that at all. It was that they didn't know how to do it, and they didn't know how to ask for help, or they were afraid, or they were scared, or they were nervous, whatever the case is. And so you can really connect with them and give them the opportunity in a safe way, in a very confined way, 1 of 2 options, to explain themselves and share their response to why they didn't execute on what they needed to do. So I hope that adds value to you. I'm excited once again, first video, new office. Just had a great training this morning with one of my clients, and taking my mom out to dinner for her birthday tonight. So it's a great day, and it's always a great day if you're alive. And but hey, if you got value from this video, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel. I would love for you to hit the notification button so you can know when I create a new video like this every week, every Wednesday. And with that, thank you so much, Influence Trainer. I will see you next week.